we, Constance and I, HJ in staffing, and we want to give a special shout out to Rachel Wickham. She was able to get us this location at the last minute. So if you did not know, we were first supposed to be at HCC, and unfortunately they let us know that this event violated their DEI policy, so it could not be held there. So, but anybody who shows up there, they're sending them this way. So they are working with us, but unfortunately, that's why we had to do the last minute change. But it's okay, because we're here. And this conversation really is something that really needed to be had. Constance and I talked about it, and she was just like, no, we really need to have this conversation. Let's just not sleep on the rug. Who cares if it's not February? We're Black every day.
Right.
And so, yeah, right. And so really what this is, it's called It's Me, Not You. I just want to kind of explain that. So I recently wrote a book called It's Me, Not You, How I Survived Toxic Work Environments. And what it's really about is self-accountability. So a lot of times us as marginalized individuals, whether we're Black, women, disabled, and the list can go on. Is there reason to blame our environments? Absolutely. Are some of our environments and oppression, is that real? Absolutely. Is sexism, ageism, in racism vibrant? Yes, it is. But if we continue to blame our environments and blame our systems and all those negative forces, what does that get us? Where does that get us? So It's Me, Not You is really about the self-accountability. So how do we show up? How can we make ourselves better so that we can change our environments? How can we make ourselves better so that we can change not just our environments, but for future generations? So it's about reflection on the inside, looking at ourselves and saying, you know what, even though the environment is to blame, but we can't keep pointing the fingers because we're not going to get anywhere if we're pointing the fingers at outside forces that we cannot control, but we can control ourselves. So that's why it's presented by It's Me, Not You, because that's just the self-accountability method, and that trickles down to this discussion. And it's a provocative discussion, not in the way people typically use the word provocative, but meaning that it's open and candidly to really talk about some solutions. We can't solve everything today, and we might not solve anything at all, but we at least need to have those conversations to put those challenges, to put those thoughts out in the atmosphere, hear from other people, and really begin those discussions so it brings awareness.
It was started because historically we were left out of a lot of opportunities. And so now, because these programs and these initiatives were started to allow us access, there are people, so, our administration and others that have issue with that. And so it's unfortunate because I think it has become just a term that people throw around. They don't understand what it actually means. It's this acronym, and it takes away people actually understanding what it means. It is, like you said, it's diversity, it's equity, it's inclusion for everyone. But because there are groups that feel like if you allow everyone in, then they will be excluded. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's why we started in the first place. And I think it's gotten this negative connotation, and we've seen this prior with affirmative action. It's like you start an initiative because there's an issue that needs to be addressed, and when it is implemented, now people have a problem with it, and now it's a bad word, and now it's set aside, or it's special treatment, or it's whatever, word of the day. And so I think, it's one of those things where it's just the climate that we're in right now. A lot of people that are against DE&I don't even understand what it means. Right. And so, they took certain action, and now they're seeing exactly what it means, mm-hmm. that they were included, or their children were included, or, whoever, loved ones were included in that DE&I, but because they thought it was Black, mm-hmm. They voted against it or whatever. And so I think it's just an unfortunate space to be in, because it does threaten a lot of programs that are needed in our community. And so it puts us in a challenging spot, I think.
The expectations are set higher than our counterparts, or they have a stereotype simply about doing business with us. I know several of us here can speak to those multiple different experiences that we've had, or we've encountered consumers of our services and products who are like, well, why do I need to pay more or ask for a discount? You know, like, give me the black discount. Why am I discounting you? I always tell people, I may not be Robert Half, I give you better service than Robert Half, but don't ask me for a discount, because if you go to Robert Half, you're gonna pay their 65% markup and not ask anything about it.
Nothing.
And you're now a number in your book. But you come to me, we're gonna customize that solution for you. But you want me to service you at 30%? Why?
I would share that in staffing, it could be videographer, it could be in the financial services space. We walk in the door and there's this automatic kind of bias that gets thrown at us, if we're being honest today. As an advisor, there's maybe 3 or 4% of all advisors across the country that look like me. So when I walk into a room, I typically am the only one in the room, or maybe one or two. And so there's always this preconceived notion of my intellectual capabilities within this space, because they don't see me very often. I got a Harvard degree and they still look at me sideways. I can say something about financial asset allocation or use all the buzzwords and be telling the truth, and somebody will look at me and kind of tilt their head like, but then let my Caucasian counterpart say the same thing. Oh, and that's gold. And so we have, for the last 75 years, had to deal with that. And the 10 times better, just to get half as much, I would argue is still true in 2025.
Yes.
Go ahead. In most instances, I would say that if anything, the people that are in your community understand, know, have a better understanding of what your needs are and address your wants than those in the other communities, because reality is they're just trying to make a sale. In many instances, we're not just making a sale, we're looking at being able to add value to the people in our community. So once we start to look at it from a different perspective, changing the mindset, start to look at it as the value that we have within our own community, that's what's going to change the game. I go back to this Black Wall Street initiative, because the reality is, from the Black Wall Street initiative, we were buying, doing everything within our communities. It was when it was destroyed that all of a sudden we lost faith in terms of what we're able to do. If we came together as a diaspora collectively, and I'm saying the diaspora, okay, I'll call it the African diaspora, the diaspora, we would be literally the most powerful diaspora in the world, bar none, period. We have the resources, we have the know-how, we have the education, we have everything that's in place. You want to go buy gold, you can buy gold. You want to buy diamonds, you can buy diamonds. Because the continent has everything. It's mineral rich. That's why everybody's trying to pillage and plunder it. So the reason why I'm saying that is if we came together collectively and we said, no, we're not going to let anybody in, that's what the fear is. But because we've been programmed, if you will, to look at it from a different way, whereas I got to spend my money here, I got to spend my money there. No, you know what, Tiffany's not going to provide me with the same service that I can go get from somebody else. You see what I'm saying? That's got to change, because the reality is, I know what Tiffany can do. And Tiffany's going to look at it from the perspective of the people in this room, not just the people outside of this room. Whereas the people on the outside of the room are not going to necessarily see it the way you see it. So we have to start to look at things differently and start to spend our money, more importantly, and support each other collectively. Because ultimately, this has got to stop. We're doing like this. We're operating like this. You can break any last one of these. You can't break this. You can't break this that easy. This is what we have to do. This is the support structure. By doing this, then we become more unified and we become stronger. This is what we're trying to keep us at right now, like this.
And when you were explaining the value, what I was seeing is maybe part of the reason is because we don't value ourselves. And then even when you did this, I just thought about the mirror. So we have to look at ourselves and be able to find the value in ourselves to be able to appreciate other people. Because maybe what I'm thinking is that they don't appreciate Black businesses because they see the reflection of this person looks like me. I don't value myself, therefore I cannot.
And not to say that because there are some Black businesses that don't know how to conduct business. And unfortunately, that one experience that someone has at one of the businesses like that, they then blanket that and say all black businesses are like that. And I agree too. I have seen invoices from companies that are owned by my white counterparts, and they're charging 2 to 3 times what I charge. But I'm always looked at as too expensive, no matter what, across the board. And I've stood firm on my pricing because I know what my team can do. I know we can deliver, and I know the quality of work. And yet I'm still fighting 13 years later to justify pricing when I know that there are others who don't look like me that are automatically given the benefit of the doubt, who are charging, like I said, 2 to 3 times more than what I'm charging. And they're still in business. So clearly people are paying it, but when it comes to, black-owned businesses, there's this idea that, one, we're not given the benefit of the doubt, or that there should be some sort of discount, or there's always something, right? And so it's unfortunate, but I do think that definitely holds true today.
We have gotten to a point where we've devalued our own value.
Yes.
And that is why we have these challenges, because we don't see the value that we have within our community.